And I just want to say to everyone listening who loves streaming content, audiences, viewers, consumers, we will never have it as good as we have it right now. As the field of competitors begins to shrink, and it will, you will see this relentless production pace begin to slow and the sheer volume of new content lessen. So everyone out there, please enjoy it while it lasts, because this is the best it's ever going to be for us.
Things are heating up, and before the pandemic, it seemed the streaming landscape was dominated by Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime coming up there, but a lot of them were still finding their footing. And now, 2 years later, there have been so many new launches into this skirmish, this battlefield. Give us the snapshot today in 2021 in terms of the new up-and-comers. I'm seeing HBOMax potentially overtaking Netflix, they're saying. What's the latest there?
Okay, so I have now actually broken this down in anticipation of this conversation. I have the streaming's major premium SVOD services ranked by my personal favorite, and then ranked by maybe their actual business standing, which probably takes on a little bit more important. Let's start there. Number one, and I've compared these to pop stars to make it a little bit more digestible so people really get an understanding. Number one, we've got Netflix. Netflix is Beyonce, all right? Netflix is The Rock, who is Beyonce for boys. That is the all-time, you can't beat it.
The Rock and Beyonce together.
Yes.
The Rock for boys.
The Rock is Beyonce for boys. It is an indisputable fact. Ask any guy, Scott. I mean, come on, you got to back me up on that one.
The Barack say. That's what I say. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm more of a Solange fan, so
All right, so no
Rock
matter
and the
what,
Pebble.
there you go.
I don't know.
So no matter what, keep them away from Jay-Z is what you're saying.
Yes, most. No, the Rock and Beyonce. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and say that that's what guys and girls and everyone loves these two, and whatever gender you are. Yeah, sure. I don't know.
So Netflix universally
This is
liked
your
is
thing.
basically
Yes.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
universally liked. They can run for president together.
Exactly. So even with all the upstarts, which we'll get to, Netflix is still number one. At number two, we got Disney Plus. Billie Eilish, still relatively new to the scene in the grand scheme of things, but enjoying a meteoric rise nonetheless. 3, we got Amazon Prime Video, Taylor Swift. Omnipresent, reliable, global talent that is really just waiting to unleash their next big move on the world. So we got that to look forward to. And number 4, we got HBO Max, Mariah Carey. In the sense that they are pulling off an epic comeback for the ages at the moment, and they look like they are going to succeed, because anyone who doubts Mariah historically hasn't worked out for them so well.
I said we got some calamar coming up, Brandon, because it's time to talk Squid Game. And yeah, it's the moment everyone's been waiting for when they saw we were talking to you on this podcast. But to back up a bit, Netflix has long been secretive about its view counts and only self-selecting viewership metrics for certain releases. It seems to be now they're opening up more with Squid Game because they want to brag to the world and tell everybody how great this thing is, how much money it's making, how many people are watching it. First of all, what is the latest count on this? Because it goes up every day, and and where are you getting your data on these streamers to make your analyses?
So the first thing we have to establish for everyone listening is take Netflix's metrics with a grain of salt. You know what? Take it with a mountain of salt, okay? Because it is based on accounts that only view for 2 minutes, and there's no third-party verification. They are telling us, and we are just assuming that they're not lying, which they could be. We don't know. I don't think Netflix is going to do that, but we just don't know. Having said all that, they have recently announced that Squid Game has been viewed for at least 2 minutes by 111 million member accounts in its first 28 days of release. This makes it its most watched original series ever by a wide margin, because Bridgerton was previously number one at about 85 million accounts in its first 28 days. So that just goes to show you the scope of how much of a global sensation Squid Game has become very rapidly.
All right, Brandon, I do want to talk about movie theaters a little bit, because we barely touched on that. So I'm one of those people who loves going to the movie theater. I don't mind keeping my mask on and just taking it off to eat my popcorn. That's totally fine. But we are seeing, obviously, fewer attendees now, both because of the rise of streaming and because of the pandemic. So what do you think is going to help sustain movie theaters going forward? Whether it's these experiential theaters where you order cocktails, they bring dinner to your seats, where it's premium prices, or there's also these subscription services like AMC Stubs A-List, for example. What do you think is going to be the next big thing to really push movie theaters forward?
It's a great question because it's at the center of the Hollywood debate for the last year. The pandemic expedited the trajectory we were already on in terms of direct-to-consumer business, that is to say streaming, leapfrogging legacy entertainment as the number one go-to destination for on-screen entertainment. Now, the movie theater model has remained unchanged for about a century. Herd as many people as you can into a dark room, get them all facing the same way, and throw on a movie. Finally, thankfully, that was beginning to change in the last, 10 years, going towards the luxury experiences you mentioned. I'm of the belief that movie theaters will never go extinct. There will always, always, always be a desire, a hunger to see an event-level movie like an Avengers Endgame in a communal setting, on the biggest screen possible, with 1,000 people around you screaming and cheering and laughing and crying and all that. But these mid-budget movies, the rom-coms, the kind of star-driven vehicles, the adult-skewing dramas, those are the types of films that are increasingly going to streaming. So I think what you're going to see is the window of viable theatrical films continue to constrict. And they're really only going to be blockbusters that'll probably have to see their budgets go down due to all the changing economics. And you're going to see the rest basically go to streaming. And to keep people on the hook, they're going to need to do exactly what you said. They're going to need to innovate, offer AMC Stubs-like subscriptions that they can basically sell consumers on a bundle of value. Keep reinventing the experience. So there's cocktails, there's cuisine, you have more bang for your buck. Because the status quo can't be maintained. And while we are shifting back to somewhat of a normal theatrical rollout in 2022, it's a shorter window. People have gotten very used to entertainment a click away from the gravitational pull of their couches. So it's going to need to continue to evolve and keep pace if they want to survive. But again, I don't think movie theaters are ever going to go fully extinct.
One of the things that has been concerning to me is how Netflix and other streamers have tapped into, and I bring this up every episode, Scott's going to roll his eyes, TikTok. So like Addison Rae, for example, starred in He's All That on Netflix, which was maybe the worst film I've ever seen in my life.
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got to watch this.
Oh my God. It's a remake of She's All That, but 100 times worse. But Netflix... Yeah, He's All That. But Netflix now, I just discovered this today. I guess it's been out for a few months. But this Fast Laughs feature on the app where you click on it and it's these short clips from their comedies, from their comedy specials that looks like TikTok. You're just scrolling through, previewing shows. You can share. You can click to watch. To what extent, Brandon, do you think these streamers are going to try to emulate or take a page out of the short form content, the TikToks of the world, to take a page out of their book to try to appeal to those younger audiences and to those creators that Scott had brought up earlier?
There's a reason that in almost every quarterly earnings, us old farts love, which I can't believe we have become, the old people yelling at the clouds demographic. I don't know when that happened. It makes me sad, but that's, a topic for another day. What you're referencing specifically, Nora, the laughs function, it's because they know that they have an overwhelming sea of content, that there is a paralysis of choice that infects viewers, where we've all sat there scrolling on Netflix for 200 hours until we just chose Friends or The Office for the umpteenth time. They're trying to reduce that by introducing these new functions that make choicing easier, that make sampling easier. And as we move forward, as the Gen Zers become people who are in the workforce with disposable income, absolutely, you're going to see things tailored to that specific demographic to try to appeal to them. Because the worst thing any entertainment business can have, and we're seeing it as a microcosm with James Bond franchise, is an aging demographic that isn't bringing in young spenders. So I think it's a really smart point that you raised. about the changes and innovations Netflix is introducing to try to stay relevant and top of mind. And I just want to say to everyone listening who loves streaming content, audiences, viewers, consumers, we will never have it as good as we have it right now. The tidal wave of competition requires tens of billions of dollars in content investments, which means literally thousands of new options for you and I to watch every single month. But as the field of competitors begins to shrink, and it will, you will see this relentless production pace begin to slow and the sheer volume of new content lessen. So everyone out there, please enjoy it while it lasts, because this is the best it's ever going to be for us.
If you like what you saw and you like what you heard, you can listen to the entire episode of this podcast, Business Casual, anywhere you get your podcasts. And please go ahead and subscribe to the Morning Brew YouTube channel, and go ahead and click on that alarm bell, that thing right there, so you can be alerted anytime there's a new video.